In the Battle of Montgisard, imagine this. 16 years old, bones aching, body frail, disease gnawing at your flesh, every breath a battle, every sunrise a question. Will you survive the day? Your kingdom encircled. The enemy, tens of thousands, hungry for conquest, closing in like a storm. There's nowhere to run. And you, barely more than a boy, stand as the last hope. The weight of every soul pressing down on your shoulders. On one side, Saladin, the lion of Islam, unbeaten, relentless, a legend in his own time, his gaze set on your destruction. On the other, Baldwin IV, the Leper King, a teenager armored from head to toe, not for glory but to hide the rot beneath. A king marked for death, yet refusing to yield. This is the forgotten storm. When a dying boy with just 375 knights defied an army of over 20,000. This is Montgisard, where faith clashed with steel and the impossible became legend. He was born beneath a shadow, never meant to rule, never meant to ride. By all odds, he should have faded before childhood's end, fragile, broken, forgotten. But destiny is a storm that shatters all predictions. In 1174, as the bells tolled and the world watched, Baldwin IV, son of Amalric, was crowned King of Jerusalem. Yet even as the crown touched his brow, death's hand lingered at his shoulder. Leprosy struck at 9. His body withered, nerves numbed, wounds refusing to heal. At 13, he wore the crown, a king in name, a leper in flesh, haunted by pain but unbowed in spirit. But Baldwin's soul was forged in agony. He did not yield to pity. Instead, he sharpened his mind, studying war, mastering strategy, wielding diplomacy like a blade. The boy king outwitted seasoned nobles, earning respect with a gaze as cold as steel. He trained with giants, knights twice his size. His body faltered, but his will blazed, unyielding, unbreakable. Surrounded by enemies, betrayed by those he called friend, Jerusalem teetered on the edge of ruin. And in the east, a lion awakened. Saladin, Sultan of Egypt and Syria, the sword of Islam, the storm on the horizon, continues. Saladin was no mere warlord. He was a devout soul, a master tactician, a patient conqueror. His vision, not just to reclaim lost lands, but to unite the Muslim world beneath one banner and reclaim Jerusalem itself. He watched the Crusader states fracture, memorized their weaknesses. In Baldwin, he saw not a king, but a dying child, a kingdom rotting beneath a leper's crown. But what Saladin could not see, what no one saw, was that Baldwin IV was not a child to pity, but a monarch to fear. The desert does not roar, it broods in silence. When Saladin swept across its sands in the autumn of 1177, he moved not with rage, but with the cold, calculated patience of a predator stalking its prey. Over 20,000 warriors, Syrian archers, Egyptian cavalry, Arabian skirmishers, marched as one beneath the crescent banner. Their shadows stretched across the land, a living tide surging toward Palestine. This was no mere raid, it was an invasion, relentless, unstoppable. Saladin's purpose was clear. Seize Jerusalem, shatter the Latin kingdom, and leave nothing but ashes in his wake. Every move was perfectly timed. Baldwin lay sick. The kingdom was leaderless. The northern lords bickered. The famed European knights had sailed home. Jerusalem, the jewel of the world, seemed defenseless, ripe for the taking. Gaza, Ramla, Lydda, each fell without a cry. Saladin's army swept forward like a tidal wave. Monasteries burned, villages emptied, and terror raced ahead of the invaders like wildfire on the wind. At the fortress of Ascalon, Saladin expected a desperate stand. Instead, he found only silence. The garrison gone, the gates abandoned. The road to Jerusalem lay wide open. He made camp near a small village, Montgisard. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the final blow to fall. Then a whisper cut through the dread. News arrived. Baldwin IV was coming, on horseback, with only a handful of knights. The Leper King would not cower behind Jerusalem's walls. He was riding out to meet Saladin, against all odds, against all reason. The storm was about to break. The boy king was not waiting for fate. He was charging into it. They called it madness, a march to certain death, a doomed ride into the jaws of oblivion. But Baldwin IV saw not despair, he saw destiny. He believed the hand of fate demanded a reckoning, not surrender. With just 375 knights and 80 Templars, less than 500 souls, he rode south. No supplies, no reinforcements, only faith, speed, and a will forged in agony. Each man knew the odds. Each prayed, not for survival, but for the strength to face the impossible. Baldwin, too weak to walk, was carried at the front. Behind him rode warriors with nothing left to lose, driven by hope, haunted by fear. They crossed the scorched lands of Judea, lips cracked, bodies aching. Every mile was paid in pain, every step a sacrifice. Yet not a single man turned back. Each knight rode knowing this could be his final dawn. No rescue would come, no second chance. It was now or never. They rode in silence, clutching crosses, whispering prayers. Some wept, not from fear, but from the crushing weight of what lay ahead. At Montgisard, Baldwin's scouts brought a miracle. Saladin's army was scattered, unready, vulnerable. Hope flickered in the darkness. The impossible was suddenly within reach. The king raised his hand. The order was given. At dawn, they would strike first. Against all odds, against all reason. Dawn broke with a shroud of mist. Out of the fog, thunder erupted, an ambush no one saw coming. Sentries froze. Generals shouted in panic. Even Saladin, the great lion, was caught off guard. The Christian knights crashed down like a storm unleashed from the heavens. Charging downhill, they ripped through the sleeping camp. Camels bolted, tents collapsed, and chaos exploded as men scrambled for weapons. At the front, Baldwin was a fury on horseback. His illness forgotten, his eyes blazing with defiance. Witnesses swore he rode like a man possessed. The Templars smashed into the flanks. Knights carved a bloody path through Saladin's heartland. Banners toppled. Tents went up in flames. Steel clashed. Hooves shattered bone. Screams and smoke filled the air, turning daylight into nightmare. Saladin's men tried desperately to regroup, some forming desperate circles, others fleeing for their lives. But the trap had already sprung. The Sultan himself, wounded and surrounded, barely escaped, fleeing on camelback with only a handful of survivors. The ground ran red with blood, but it was not the blood of the Christians. It was a massacre. And at the heart of the storm stood Baldwin, alive, triumphant, and unbroken. As the sun vanished, Montgisard lay shrouded in silence, a battlefield transformed into sacred ground. The earth was carpeted with the fallen legions of Saladin. Survivors fled in terror, their banners trampled, their leaders lost to the dust. Baldwin dismounted, trembling with exhaustion and fever, his blade still stained with victory. Yet his gaze was unbroken, defiant, unbowed. He had achieved the unthinkable. Jerusalem erupted in jubilation. Bells thundered for days. The Leper King returned not as a shadow, but as a beacon of glory. Even Saladin would confess. On that day, the hand of God was with them. The boy king was no longer a rumor. He was legend, and Montgisard itself became a miracle etched in time. Chroniclers spoke of angels riding with the knights, of holy winds scattering the foe, of Baldwin shining like a saint amid the smoke and ruin. Whether myth or truth, the tale blazed across Europe. The Leper King who shattered the might of the East became a legend whispered in every hall. But Baldwin did not join the celebration. He understood what others could not. This miracle was but a fleeting breath before the storm would rise again. Montgisard did not just buy time. It bought hope. For a fleeting moment, the kingdom could breathe, battered but unbroken, clinging to the promise of dawn after endless night. Baldwin ruled on, 8 more years of agony and defiance. He fought not only Saladin, but the relentless decay of his own flesh. Every day a battle against the darkness within and without. His hands shriveled, his vision faded, his strength ebbed away. Yet his spirit blazed, unyielding, a beacon for all who despaired. He led armies, quelled uprisings, forged fragile alliances. Through pain and betrayal, he guarded Jerusalem with a will that would not break, no matter the cost. In 1185, at just 24, Baldwin was laid to rest in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. His crown rested on a body ravaged by disease, but his memory was untouched, immortal. Yet his legacy stood unshaken, echoing through the stones and sands. Montgisard haunted Saladin. It humbled the Sultan, teaching him patience and caution. He would return stronger and wiser, but never while Baldwin's indomitable spirit guarded Jerusalem. Montgisard became a legend, A testament that even in the deepest shadow, a single spark of courage can ignite hope. That the broken can inspire and the doomed can triumph. Today, the world has forgotten. No monuments, no statues, only silent earth and fading echoes. But the story endures, whispered by the wind to those who still listen. For in the silence, the legend lives on. The boy who could not walk once made an empire kneel. This was the Battle of Montgisard, a clash where a leper king defied fate, shattered legends, and turned faith into an unstoppable fire. Remember this moment. Let it ignite something within you. If this story stirred your soul, don't just watch, join us. Subscribe for more epic battles, lost heroes, and the untold moments that shaped our world. Your journey into forgotten glory starts now. Share your voice in the comments. Which hidden battle should we resurrect next? Your suggestion could become our next legend. History is not lost. It waits for those bold enough to bring it back to life. Will you answer the call?